Here we go. 8 idioms I use regularly. Short, simple, and that will make you stand out from the crowd. Hello, it's Keith from the Keith Speaking Academy and this YouTube channel, English Speaking Success, here to help you become a more confident speaker of English. So today I'm going to share with you 8 idioms that I use on a regular basis. And what's more, I've invited in some of my students to practice the idioms so that they will stick in your memory a little bit better. Do remember, I haven't even told you yet, but just to let you know, you can also download the PDF of these idioms for free. Click on the link below so that later you can go through them. At least it will help you understand them, and maybe with practice you can start to use 1 or 2 of them as well. That's it. Let me know in the comments which one you like in particular. And if you're ready, if you're sitting comfortably, then let's begin. Right, number 1 is to nail it. To nail it. You can link nail it. This means to do something perfectly. Imagine you take a nail, right, and you hammer the nail into the wall and you put a picture on the nail and the picture looks perfect, right? It's idiomatic, meaning you've nailed it for anything that you've done perfectly. For example, tomorrow my daughter is going to do a presentation, right? And I said to her, relax, everything will go smoothly. You're going to nail it. Also, the other day, my wife did a new recipe. She was trying out a new recipe. And I said to her, after she'd finished, this dish is delicious. You've nailed it. She did it perfectly. And here's another example.
I'm going to take the test in 2 weeks' time, and I hope I'm going to nail it.
Number 2, to be spot on. To be spot on. It means to be, well, exactly right or perfect. For example, I was listening to the weather forecast the other day, and it said that today it was going to be sunny. Sure enough, look outside and it's sunny. The weather forecast was spot on. It was perfect. It was exactly right. Do you remember that dish I told you about that my wife prepared the other day? Well, when she'd finished, she did say to me, okay, yeah, I've nailed it, but is there enough salt? And I said, it's spot on. There was exactly enough salt. Not too much, not too little, spot on. Here's another example.
My friend taught me, Kristen, you like eaten mangoes, right? And I said, spot on.
Number 3, to be on a roll. To be on a roll. The idea of rolling is, like a snowball when it rolls and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's rolling and getting bigger. It's this idea to have a series of successes. One success after another. You're getting better and better. To be on a roll. For example, some of you may know I'm studying French again and practicing French because I needed to brush up on my French. To improve, right? To polish my French. And in the last class, it was great. I was giving one example, then another, then another. I was giving so many examples. I was on a roll. Even the teacher said to me, you're speaking so much French today. You're really on a roll. Right. We can look to Manchester United for my next example. United have won their last 3 games. They are on a roll. Nice. Here's another example.
Novak Djokovic, the famous tennis player, won 10 Australian Open titles. It was obvious he was on a roll.
Now, number 4 is to get a word in edgeways, which means to have a chance to speak. In actual fact, we normally use it in the negative. We say, I can't get a word in edgeways. Again, when you listen to this, you'll be hearing the linking. I can't get a word in edgeways. This comes from the idea, well, imagine you're walking through a crowd of people. There's lots of people. And you normally have to go like this, right? You have to, this is the edge, the front, the edge. You need to go edgeways through the gaps. In fact, we even say to edge forward, right? Is to move forward slowly. So the idea of getting a word in edgeways is to go on the side and to move forward slowly, trying to speak. This is apparently where it comes from. Although some people say it's a nautical term from sailing as well. But it's the idea that you know, I can't get a word in edgeways. Even going slowly, I can't speak. Normally because the other person is speaking so much. So, for example, to make it very, very clear, I have a boss who talks a lot. Whenever we have a meeting, I can't get a word in edgeways. Meaning he doesn't let me speak. He just rabbits on and on. I can't get a word in edgeways. We had a meeting last week. I couldn't get a word in edgeways. Another example, and this is quite a common scenario here in Spain. I met up with some friends in a bar the other day, and Miguel, one of my friends, was telling jokes. He was telling so many jokes that no one could get a word in edgeways. And here is another example for you.
Yeah, when 3 people in breakout room and I'm one of them, when they 2 are talking, I can't get a word in edgeways.
Now, idioms are very, very useful, and it's really going to help you to understand when you're listening to films, TV series, even daily conversation when we're using idioms. If you want to learn more idioms, check out my 150 idioms course. I also have an idioms book that can help you at least understand a lot more idioms. Now, I recognize it's very hard to use idioms, and it's probably best for you to learn them in context as and when you're improving your English. If you're doing IELTS and IELTS speaking, idioms, they're important. At least idiomatic expressions are important, which is a much wider area of idiomatic phrases. But it's also good to learn some idioms. The thing is, you only want to use 1 or 2 and be really confident about using them. So if you want to improve your overall understanding of idioms, on the one hand, keep learning as you're going, one by one, but you can also check out my idioms course and idioms book. They're full of stories and context. It's a fun and engaging way of learning more idioms, helping you, well, make your language more colourful, if you like. Check them out in the link below. There's a nice discount or a little bundle there for you. And that's it. Let's get back into today's 8 idioms I use regularly. Number 5, it turns out, which means it happens in a particular way. It happens to be the case. So here, certain things happen. This happens, that happens, then this happens. And then in the end, the result was something happened in a particular way, often a surprise or an unexpected result or an unexpected way. For example, right, yesterday I had an appointment. I missed the bus and I arrived late at the dentist's. But then it turns out the appointment was for the week after. It turns out, right, this happened in a particular way. It was a surprise. So I was late for my appointment, but it turns out it was next week. I was nervous about my French exam, but when I did the exam, it turned out to be really easy. Here's another example.
Last week, when I know I need to do a mock test with kids, I felt super duper nervous. But today, it turns out my score is pretty good. I got band 7 in this exam.
Number 6, to crack me up. If you imagine an egg cracking, if you crack up, you laugh a lot or very hard. So it cracks me up is it makes me laugh very hard, very strongly, right? Last week I watched The Office and it cracked me up. Another example, my friend Miguel I talked about, he's very funny. He always cracks me up. And here's another example.
When I watch Mr. Beans, he cracks me up.
Number 7, in a way, meaning to some extent. It's idiomatic because in a way doesn't mean I'm on a path. It's just to some extent. For example, right, I work from home. In a way, working from home is easy, but it can be boring to some extent. In a way, I like living here in Santander, but it does rain quite a lot. And here is another example.
In a way, living in the city is more convenient than living in the countryside.
Number 8, to make head or tail of something means to understand something, usually something complex or difficult to understand. So head and tail, you've got the head of an animal and the tail of an animal, like the top and the bottom. And if you can't understand the top or the bottom, it makes no sense. Something complicated. So, for example, something complicated. If you've ever made an IKEA table, IKEA is the Swedish furniture shop. They provide you with an instruction manual paper. Slightly complicated instructions, right? It's very hard to make head or tail of it. Or it's hard to make head or tail of the instructions. Maybe sometimes at work you receive a very complicated email and you really don't understand what they're trying to say. I can't make head or tails of it. Another example, my friend had a plan to go on holiday, but it was super complex and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't make head or tail of her plan. And here's another example.
Yesterday, I bought a bookshelf for myself. When I open the instruction, I need to figure out how can I put them together to become a bookshelf. I couldn't make head or tail of it.
This manual is very complicated. I can't make head or tail of it.
So there you have them, 8 idioms I use on a regular basis. And if you want to review them, do remember you can download the PDF for free and just build up your bank of idiomatic vocabulary. If you want to learn more idioms, go check out my course, 150 idioms for you to learn. It's fun, it's engaging, there are stories, audio, you can listen, practice. I think you'll love it. Make your English more colourful. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video. Give me a like if you liked it. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Hopefully, I will see you in the next video. Take care, my friend. Bye-bye.